joining us here is author John LeMay back with us. Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's kind of fun to be out here in the wild with y'all. It's different.
Out in our natural, unnatural
Building
habitat.
The set of, as you watch.
The only thing I don't like is I have to hold my own microphone, and I feel like Ricky Bobby.
Oh, you don't do it with your hands?
I don't know what to do with my hands, and I don't know if I'm too close.
It's just like the real world, we eat it. So we gotta.
Okay.
Yeah, yours doesn't have the mic flex.
I'm
So you
just
gotta.
kidding, yeah.
You gotta do the I'm Dick Vermeil and welcome to. Yeah, you don't have to do that. But yeah. So first off, this is a UFO Festival is always a big weekend for you as an author because this is your chance to come out and for folks that don't know, of course, John's probably mostly known for your historical books.
Yeah.
But that's not well. Actually, those lines are starting to blur a little bit in some of your books. But mostly people probably originally know John for a lot of his Billy the Kid or those books. But one of his passions is Godzilla and all that. So you kind of use UFO Festival to promote all your books, but even put a little spotlight on the ones that aren't necessarily the historical ones.
Yeah, so I've gotten fairly well known for film histories now, and like you said, Godzilla. I think the best-selling book I've ever done is on the Jaws movies.
Yeah.
But what's cool is there's a guy that I know from Facebook and I can't remember where he lives, but like he's coming here just for the UFO Festival, but he likes my film books, so he messaged me. He was like, "Hey, are you gonna have this book at Galacticon?" And I was like, I wasn't going to take it with me, but since you actually asked, I'll bring it.
Since there's a demand, and yeah, absolutely. So John always likes to go and be a part of Galacticon, which this year will be in the Roswell Convention and Civic Center all weekend, coinciding with UFO Festival here, and so you'll and the whole convention center is all UFO Festival related, whether it is the Galacticon side. The UFO Museum here will have panel speakers and things over at the Convention and Civic Center as well. So definitely when you go there, and especially when it's like pushing that 96 time, and you're like, it's hot.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good time to go visit the convention center and
and
they had beautiful air conditioning.
I just want to say the UFO Museum looks great because I haven't been in here since they kind of redid the layout and have some new stuff in here.
Yeah, it's absolutely they put some money into it. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it looks beautiful.
I have to point out those two the new aliens in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Jared, he built those.
Okay.
But I can't be too complimentary of him because this is what happened to me the other day.
Uh-huh.
So I was telling Jared, he's a big comic book fan. This isn't a lie. I got a really nice, I wouldn't call it a fan letter, but I got a really nice letter from one of the co-creators of Swamp Thing, Stephen Bissett.
Oh, wow.
He was telling me how much he likes my books and all this, and I told Jared, and he's like, that's no big deal.
Okay, so he downplayed you. No, understood.
So the aliens.
When
they're nothing fancy.
even though you knew it was a big deal, he's trying to I think it's a jealous thing.
Yeah, so those aliens in the corner are no big deal.
Yeah, they're all right.
But
Yeah, he's slightly jealous. That's what it is. But he did an okay job on that alien.
Yeah, no, they look good. They look real good.
Now, I had heard rumblings of amongst other reboots and reworkings that they're working on a Swamp Thing reboot. That they were working on doing something with the franchise.
I can ask him. I can ask my friend.
Let me know,
Steven.
'cause I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I'll ask
love
him.
the original. So I would love to find out.
Good deal. But now how many of your books are you going to have available? I'm sure all of your non-historical ones will probably be there. But can we get some? I know, like your newest book will be here, right?
Yeah, so the problem with me is I have so many books now that when people walk by my table, if I put them all out, they think I'm a bookseller.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because somebody told me that. They're like, you need to put up a sign that says you are the author.
I wrote these books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? I bring the film history books to Galacticon because I think, it's more that sort of thing, but it's still the history and the UFOs that really sell.
Well, and then and let's face it, your film the film that you hit, chronicle, the films are generally in the sci-fi or that, Jaws. Yeah, that's not really sci-fi, but it kind of is.
But they fall in that cult classic
style.
Yeah,
it's a shark of unusual characteristics and things. It's kind of sci-fi, but yeah, it's definitely. So I think the people that are at Galacticon, they draw an interest to your those topics and things
Yeah.
like that. But but to tell folks about the latest book, I know Sean, you guys had a great conversation about a week ago. But tell folks about the latest book here. I think this is a really cool. I'm not gonna now. I don't know if you're allowed to give credit, but the artwork on this book
Yeah, thank you.
is it's art. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
It
absolutely
is
gorgeous.
it is I'm almost like I don't even care what's in the book. I'm curious just because it's don't judge a book by
I was
its
just
cover.
gonna say,
This
so
one
you're
you're like
judging?
do a little judging. It's pretty good.
not a bad place to judge.
That's awesome because I felt bad though when I was on with Sean. I meant to bring up the cover because people are going to think this is cool. So it's a novel, as opposed to nonfiction. It's actual fiction. But the cover is done by our local artist Logan Pack,
Okay.
and so that's why it turned out so awesome. And so yeah.
If you can, kind of hold it up to that.
Oh yeah,
camera.
I
They
didn't
can
realize
get
we were on.
They can
I didn't
kind
know.
of
Yeah.
get a gander
Right.
of exactly the artwork we're talking about. It's beautiful. And there you go. That's that's the book. Tell them the title, John.
So it's called the Noted Desperado Pancho Dumez. And it's, like I said, it's just a fictional novel, or as I tell people, it's the first time I've done fiction on purpose.
Do it on the one that's not round.
I'm
There
sure I've
you
done
go.
fiction before by accident, but this is the first time it was on purpose. It's actually the first book I ever started working on back when I was 19.
Oh, really?
And so I'm 36 now, so that's like 17 years I've worked on it off and on, just trying to perfect it. And I didn't feel right about it until 2021, and then I finally published
Well,
it.
let me ask you this, because people evolve.
Yeah.
When you started writing, I'm sure you're a different author than you were when you started writing. I'm curious, is there an evolution? Like, can you see, like, some of your early stuff, and you're like, man, versus today? I mean, do you see a difference or see that evolution in the writing?
Well, so here's the thing. I wrote it in first person.
Okay.
And that's when it's like, I said, I did this. So it's kind of like being an actor because you're portraying someone's thoughts.
Gotcha.
And the main character is 14 going on 15. And the bulk of that book I did still write when I was 19.
Okay.
So like his descriptions and the way he thinks was me at 19 remembering 14.
Sure.
And now I'm so far away from that's really hard to do.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. But like
You don't have that
yeah.
19-year-old angst anymore?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so a former teacher, Jane Anglin, she read it and she was like, "Oh, you capture those 14-year-olds perfectly."
So you didn't want to mess with it because
Yeah.
you so in actuality you're kind of you it's almost the times in which you live also reflect the times in which the story, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
like your mindset when you were writing the stuff with the younger folks, it fit there, and then as you got older, matured, and the character does the same. You
Yeah.
also carry that same mental mindset with it. So that's actually
Yeah.
pretty cool. So good deal. So but this book will be available this weekend, right?
That's going to be the main one I'm pushing. And what's
Okay.
going to be cool, is Logan Pack's going to be there selling his artwork.
Oh,
so
good deal.
it's going to be like the only time you can get my signature on the
and
inside.
the artist signature.
And he might, he can sign the outside or the inside, whatever you like. So,
So that's like ultra rare.
yeah.
You went from rare to ultra.
Does he do commissioned art too and all that?
Yeah, that's so Logan, everybody thinks it's a hobby. That's how he's making his living now. That's all
Awesome.
he does. So it's pretty cool.
It's so great when people can do their passion to make it
Yeah.
as their career. 'Cause you know what I mean? Like those people, like I can draw, but I can't draw. But people are like, I can draw, but how do I turn that into my living? And a lot of people, have trouble making that transition. So it's great to see he's able to do that.
Before
so.
you ask, I've already commissioned him to do a full bust of Big Flat Mike. It'll be hanging in the studio starting next month.
A drawing of the
Yes.
thing. Yeah, that would
Super
not.
meta.
Yeah. I think, Chris, you're going to need to see if we can trade out some psychological services for myself.
This portion of the
Might need
program
to see a
brought to you by
counselor about
BetterHelp.
this. But now, how many books total have you written, John?
I haven't actually tallied them lately, but it's in the upper 30s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I got to ask this question because, and I think I've asked it before, but I want to do it again because there are so many people that probably would love to write and do what you do, but don't have the knowledge or the gumption to know how to do something like this. How I mean, is it just writing and just showing it to enough people to get your stuff out there? What is it that, or is it really it's your one man show and I publish it myself and that's it catches a following? I mean, how does that How did you do it?
So I started with an actual real publisher, which is Arcadia and the History Press. And I begrudgingly self-published a few years ago, and it's the best thing I've ever done because I make so much more money off of
Gotcha.
self-published, and it's all in the marketing, and Logan was worth it for the cover, because if I made my own cover or whatever, nobody would care.
Right.
That's so with nonfiction, they're already interested in the subject matter beforehand. But with an untested, fiction property, you got to have that awesome cover, which he delivered on. I guess what I'm trying to get around to is if you are going to self-publish, you have to have a nice cover. It's got to look professional. I always tell people don't...
Something to draw the eye, to draw the interest,
And having an established base, I imagine, also helps. Being with the publisher for the first few years, that kind of gives you your base of people who know your name and who seek out your work. And then when you self-publish, you have that base that kind of travels with you.
Exactly.
Well, but in your opinion, though, by you actually going to a publisher first, did that make it easier to self-publish? Like, did you need to go to the publisher, you think, to finally get to self-publish? Like, was that a step that was needed, or do you think, looking back, maybe I should have self-published from the get-go?
Gosh, possibly. Arcadia is nice because they're a photo history, so they print on the glossy paper, and you can't really do that very well in self-publishing. And they have their foot in the door with all these bookstores. So
I'm like thinking maybe you need that to establish a little bit of a reputation for yourself. So when you do say, I'm going to do it myself, there's a bit of a track record, and people say, okay, this guy's legit versus someone who's never published a book, never done anything, and they're just trying to get it in to open a door somewhere, And that's but really it's kind of stick to it writing. And now as far as the actual writing game, was that all school and things and a passion for it, or what? Because obviously to tell a story, it takes a certain skill set to do that, and like I'm pretty good at it orally, hence my gig, But to sit down and type it is a little different. It takes a different mindset, a different set of skills to do that. Is that a gift, or is that a talent you had to we all develop, but was that a bug you had already, or was that really something you had to develop and work on and create?
So I'm noticing something that I think that there are artistic minds, then there are athletic minds that have that mind-muscle connection, and they're good athletes. But most artists, I'm noticing, it depends on the talent that you hone. Because Logan, the artist, is also a good writer, but he's honed his art over the writing. Right. Now, when I was a little kid in school, I was known for being an artist. Like, I used to be pretty good at drawing.
Okay.
For a little kid, I was very, very good, but I didn't hone it.
Gotcha.
I just let it go, and then I tended to drift more towards writing.
Sure.
So I think
you choose a path and you kind of hone that craft.
Exactly.
Well, and that's true with with any kids. I always, because kids are sponges at that age, and I've always been that one that says, when they're that age, you need to throw everything at them. Just let them find the things that they're into, and then weed it out slowly as the ones that they're drawing to and being interested in. And I think art can be that way. It's like you said, I discovered I have creativity through drawing, but that wasn't the avenue I chose to exercise my creative juices, so to speak.
You knew you were left-brained. You just didn't know what area of the left brain you were going to draw from. So at what age did you really realize that writing and that telling stories was your passion, that you were going to hone that craft to go down that path?
So I think pretty early on, because I used to make my own little picture books with stories and stuff. But so in terms of fiction, like writing fiction, the only book that they forced us to read in school was The Outsiders, and that's the only one that I liked. All the other books they forced us to read, I usually wouldn't read. I would cheat on.
Gotcha.
And I didn't even have the internet to cheat with back then.
Yeah,
so that's quite
none of us did.
Yeah.
It was tough times.
Cliff Notes, Easy Readers. I remember all those. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then in terms of the nonfiction, though, I'd credit Kate Davis. She used to be an instructor at ENMUR.
Mm-hmm. I think we've had her on the show a few times.
Cool, yeah.
She's a filmmaker also.
Now she's a filmmaker. Yeah. And so she let us do a report on anything that we wanted. And I chose living dinosaurs, and I wrote a report on that, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that's what I credit with getting me into nonfiction.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So it was a teacher that influenced.
Yeah, because the teachers in the
great.
old days gave you your topic, but she let us choose our topic, so that made
Gotcha.
it different.
You know, it's funny you mention that, and just comparing in my own life experiences. I remember around second, third grade, they gave us that opportunity, and it was like, first they said make up an animal, and they said whatever you want. We drew a picture of an animal, and I had like a liger or something, you know, one of those. But then, and after that, they said, well, now make up a story about that. Anything you want, and they did a whole. So that's what I did. I remember doing well on it and all that. But yeah, I now that you say what your experience, I kind of look back and say, you know what, that was a project that I did really well and discovered. You know, I kind of like doing a creative side. Again, it turned out mine was flapping my gums, not drawing or writing. But
Well, even in your fictional works, you almost get kind of the best of both worlds, because you draw from historical facts to write fictional works, and so you can kind of like almost broaden out your own universe and carve out your own universe based on historical facts. So it really is kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, because the novel uses a really wild story that's, like they say, truth is stranger than fiction.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, Billy the Kid's tombstone has been stolen twice.
Right.
First time it was stolen in 1950, and it disappeared right after the old man called Brushy Bill Roberts visited the grave.
yeah.
And
if you watch Young Guns, that's they claim was Billy the Kid there. Emilio Estevez or White Sands there. I think it's
Yeah.
the second one. That's the character which they talk about there.
And see, what makes it wilder is they find the stolen tombstone 26 years later in 1976, and it's in the neighboring town where Brushy Bill lived in Texas. He lived in Hyco. They found it in Granbury.
See, his family or himself was involved in some of that. Maybe.
I mean, you can't prove it, but I mean, that's too much of a coincidence.
There's a lot of smoke
Sure does
there.
line up, yeah.
Yeah. So my story, I was like, well, why would they steal the tombstone? And I was like, okay, it's the clue and the search for a lost treasure.
And
so
by
that's
the
my
way,
excuse.
I saw a documentary about Bushy Bill Roberts, and because there was a lot of people claiming he's Billy the Kid, and it turns out they've done a bunch of scientific, picture comparisons, and they said there's no way that he's Billy the Kid. The faces aren't the same. It's I mean, there's a lot of similarities in some of the story, but and I think you're aware of all this,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but as far as the examination, we're like, nah, sorry, that's not him.
The really cool theory is that Brushy Bill was actually a friend of Billy the Kid's named Jesse Evans.
Okay.
He was also an outlaw, but he'd never got the fame that Billy got. And so people think, maybe he was like, well, I'll pretend to be Billy and I'll get way more attention. I know all of Billy's stories, so that's a cool theory too.
Absolutely, and that kind of jives, and I think it would even jive with the period because in reality, all these people are famous because of your Ash Uptons of the world, the dime store novels, and all of that. That's why their tales have survived this year, but all of their tales have been told through fiction, really.
Yeah.
And
In a grandiose manner.
yeah, so it's kind of, and to be honest, I think that's the fun about reading some of John's books about Billy the Kid. As a matter of fact, I think you have one of your books specifically deals with separating the lore from the fact in some of the Billy Kid and Pat Garrett and some of the players of the Lincoln County War and all that.
Yeah.
So. And I always say this too, and I imagine if you really want a good sense of New Mexico and the government and why we are how we are, spend the day in Lincoln, New Mexico, and just read. Just go to the courthouse, read all of the signs, go to the Murphy Tunstall store, go to all the different the actual visitor center there with all the Buffalo soldiers and all that stuff. Visit all of that and just read. Just read the things. And at the end of the day, you're going to be like, no wonder this state's so screwed up. They've been doing things weird since long before it was a state. Like one of the stories that always makes me laugh is when Lincoln County lost its county seat. It got moved to Socorro during, 18, whenever that was. The state government came to Lincoln to get the records to take to Socorro. They were not let into the city. They were met by armed people saying, you will not be taking those things today.
Wow.
Could you imagine that happening today?
So how's tomorrow looking?
Yeah.
Not good either. Okay, great. We'll schedule something later.
It's like, no, I don't think you're going to do that. And what do? They turn around and went back. They weren't taking it. But you know what I mean, John?
Yeah.
Like, once you hear and see all that stuff, you're kind of like, no wonder we are where we are today. It's.
I feel like it was the genesis of the phrase "from my cold dead hands."
Yeah. So I'm curious, John. I know you always got things percolating. Do what's in the works, or what's in the concept now here? What are you working on now?
So I had more fun writing that book than I've ever had writing any other book, and I want to do a whole series.
Okay.
And since Billy the Kid's so associated with the number 21, I think I want to do 21 books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Started kind of like the start of like the cinematic universe, the John LeMay cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
I
literary
like it.
universe. Yeah.
I think why not?
21 books, so you're one down. Do
Yeah, one down.
you think you have enough story to sustain yourself for 20?
I have too much because
Nice.
I already think like I don't know how I'll fit this in there because yeah.
And the story itself, it can like create itself as you're writing it too.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're fleshing out a universe, and the universe in turn fleshes out the story.
It does,
you're gonna
yeah.
tell.
One of your books that I think is apropos to UFO and stuff is, and I apologize, the title's out of my head, but I can remember subject matter. One of your books really deals with like UFO sightings and things back in the Wild West times and dealing with some. Is that going to be one of the books available at Galacticon?
Yeah, the Real Cowboys and Aliens.
There you go. That's the name of it.
Several
yeah.
of them now. Yeah, a lot of Old West UFO sightings.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
It's really cool because, and what I love about it, we had this conversation back when the book came out. It's all about perspective in the time because, we as humans, when we don't understand how something works, we call it witchcraft
We liken it to
or
something that we
magic or
understand.
sorcery or aliens, whatever it is. And so, because they don't have the vocabulary we do today or the understanding of some engineering or machines, combustible engines, things like that. So their descriptions
Ghost Riders in the sky
of
and
like
stuff.
spaceships and things without the knowledge of technology that we have today, it's pretty fascinating to hear, the speak of it, like mystical dragons and that talk of that,
Yeah.
because they really don't have any other true understanding of something to compare it closer to. Because if if you've never been familiar with that, it's something we see every day,
If
but
you've
if
never
they
even
don't know
seen
it,
electric light and you see a light in the sky, how
are you
going to
to describe
Yeah.
that? Yeah, exactly. So that to me was the cool part, or because you don't think about that
No.
until you go. It's like, oh yeah, they wouldn't. How do they know what they can't describe it as
Yeah.
how do they describe a disc? And so they got some really neat. But the weird part is the descriptions, even though they don't have the vocabulary. If you take it with more modern accounts, a lot of it jives
Yeah.
as far as seeing the same thing. Which, how do you explain that one?
Yeah.
It's universal.
Yeah. So that's cool. So please, this is the kind of stuff that I think John brings to you. So
Absolutely.
come check out his books and come check out. And like you said, the artist is going to be there too with you
Yeah.
on. What's the hours that you're doing booth manning out there?
So Galacticon will open up tomorrow at 12 at lunch, and
Okay.
it'll last till 8 in the evening. Then the next 2 days, it's going to open at 10
Okay.
and go into the late afternoon, and then it's over by July 4th.
Gotcha. So you'll be there all 3 days there
Yeah.
during the hours. I believe there is I don't remember off the top of my head, an entry fee to get into Galacticon, but
Yeah.
that covers you for the whole day in and out and everything. I think you can get a weekend pass if you want.
Yeah.
But I do want to remind folks that if you want to check out the film festival and everything, that's also part of Galacticon. You can get your tickets at Galacticon and then go on out to the Galaxy 8 theaters and go check out the all the different movies. Some of them are like little short films. Some are a little closer to feature-length films, but you get a chance to see them all. And it's really neat to see the talent on that. Because every once in a while, one of those movies ends up at Sundance or one of these places like that, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I saw that at the UFO festival during the Galacticon Film Festival." So definitely check all that stuff out too. So, any of your other friends and stuff you want to that you're going to be out at Galacticon? You want to while you're pointing out, because I know it's small circles.
Yeah.
And you talk some of the other vendors you want to make sure people should check out
Sure,
where they're there.
there's all sorts of things. Like Matt Bromley does games, and like Logan did the box art for one of his games.
Okay.
And then there's E.J. Wilson. His Star Trek book just always like flies off the shelves.
Okay, so get there early, maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow to guarantee a copy of that one.
Yeah, but
He
there's
does the tabletop games, right, Bromley? He does
Bromley, yeah,
that-
tabletop
I
games,
think I
yeah.
interviewed him once. Those are fascinating when you put
Yeah.
those together. Number one, the stories and the worlds that you build, but also the intricacies with the pieces.
Does he
It's-
like create the tabletop games?
Yeah,
Like they're
like he actually invents the.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's,
are they all
think like Settlers of Catan, that kind of style.
okay?
Of
I was say, are they all like a sci-fi themed or
No, he did
or
a taco
history
game.
themed or?
He has a taco game, I think. Taco Party, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What kind of game is that one? Is it-
You don't eat anything, Mike. Sorry.
Okay.
He does. He does a
and
lot
it's
of
family friendly.
he does a lot of stuff
Okay,
on,
I just want to make sure.
a lot of
There's
his
a lot of
games-
directions I could go. Just wanted to clarify.
a lot of his games get featured on like Kickstarter and places like that, and so they've actually gotten a lot of acclaim and build up from just the Kickstarters and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Very cool. So I imagine he'll be selling some of his games.
I
there if you
believe
wanna-
so, yeah,
To
I'm pretty
play.
sure.
Cool. I didn't know if it was more like the Magic and that style, the card play games, which I think they're going to be doing all that there
Oh, yeah.
too. There's going to be plenty of that, and then of course they'll have the cosplay, the panels for making goggles and all that. So if you're into that, or they usually have a few like filmmaking, those type of deal panels
Yeah.
too out there, or and of course if you're always wanting to pick John's brain about maybe you're an aspiring author yourself, come see John's booth and pick up a book or two, but pick his brain. That's what I just did, and talk a little bit about this stuff. So, what? So other than manning the booth out there, do you got other plans here for UFO Festival weekend stuff, or
No,
is there
I'm-
anything that you try to get out and go see, or?
No, I'm pretty boring and laid back. I'm good doing my thing. So
Gotcha. What about food wise? Is there always a go-to food you get during UFO Festival?
no, I'm bad about exploring the food trucks and stuff like that, but I should do
Okay.
that.
Well, I believe they'll have some out in the parking lot out there, so you won't have to walk far.
Yeah.
This time, they'll kind of have food trucks actually.
No.
all-
John is the talent. You snap your fingers and say, "Bring me a taco." That's how it works.
Pizza.
It is time for you to fill the author. Crumbs.
It's a bowl of all purple Skittles.
It was in the writer.
Yeah.
They don't even
And
make
one
those.
yellow one, 37 inches below. But good deal. Well, I'm glad. Thanks for coming out and here and talking with us. I'm
thanks
glad
for
to see
having me.
everything's going. It's great to see. Oh, remind folks about the historic book fair too.
Oh yeah, that was one of the main reasons. Yeah. So,
We got to talk about John and his book thing, but the Historical Society, we're going to get Amy yelling at. She'd already yelled at me the other day because I screwed up. But yeah, coming up here, the Historical Society for Southeast of Mexico. I don't have the sheet in front of me.
yeah,
but,
it's July 9th on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'll just stress, we are not selling our book collection.
Yes.
We are not selling anyone's. We always get accused of this, and it drives me up the wall. We are selling excess inventory that people have donated to us recently.
Yeah, we're the Historical Society is very fortunate that we get people that donate. Like if someone passes away, or they're trying to maybe clean out their attics and things, and they find these valuable treasures in their possession, and they donate them to us. They're very kind, thinking, "Oh, the historic," and we appreciate it. We love it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. But sometimes some of these rare books, we get 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
copies of,
Those triples, yeah.
and we have space, but we only got so much space in there in the archive facility to store this stuff properly.
Yeah.
So we don't need 5 copies of the same book.
No, and there's a box you check when you donate that says what to do with it, and we respect that box. If
Yeah,
you,
so if you tell us not to, we won't.
exactly.
But if you kind of leave it up to our discretion, then we're going to. And John, trust me, he doesn't. Him and all the archive folks are very big protectors of everything that comes in and out
Yeah.
of there. So if it leaves, it's because they've got it covered.
Yeah.
And they will never ever let a piece of history slip out of there that shouldn't.
Thanks. Have a great day. Was that our last copy?
yeah.
Yeah, trust me. This is what they do, and they're in there every
Yeah.
week, grooming and meticulating and
Yeah,
working that.
we check
archive
for
facility.
signatures. It's even if it's signed, like if it's signed to J.P. White, it was J.P. White's
Yeah.
book. Of course, we're going to keep it.
And we
you
always
know.
keep the better copy. So,
Yeah, that too.
So if we get a new copy and it's better than the copy we got, then sorry, we're keeping that one and we'll sell the other one.
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
But we keep the best for us. But sometimes we get extras. Sometimes we get more, and we want to share that with you guys. And let's face it, the money we generate from that helps us keep preserving that archive
that's right.
facility. It helps us keep doing the 4th grade tours. It helps us to keep facilitating,
building that's
paying for the roof and the foundation and every other thing that breaks down at an old building.
Century-old home.
Yeah. So please come July 9th. It'll be it's usually in the morning there. They usually do mystery bags. They'll have a mystery where for like $5 you get guaranteed to get a historical book, but you get if you're looking for decor books, like books that aren't really valuable as far as what's in them, but they're old, so they look nice on a shelf.
Yeah, make your bookshelf look fancy.
You know, we got those there too. So
And
we got a
Donna
little bit of everything.
Burchell's going to be there signing her new kids book as well. So that's the other thing.
And anytime Donna's there, talk to her. We always joke she's the John LeMay of Eddy County. I look at it, and she does a great job of providing all kinds of great information and that kind of stuff. And her books are great too, like her Wicked Women series.
Yeah.
That's probably one of her more popular books there.
Yeah.
So. Very good. Well, John, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions about the historical book fair, RoswellNMHistory.org is you can go there and get information, or you can call the there it goes, a kickback on it was working. I think you lost internet.
I was wondering. I was like,
Because I've been watching the whole time. We're good to go.
did somebody say a swear?
Yeah, it got quiet. No, I think he lost internet over there. But definitely look forward to that. And we'll see you next time. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, it is